What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Thursday, June 24th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have an 8-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Jose Berrios with a small pitching advantage over a low salary batting team, the Cleveland Indians. Jose Berrios, he's only giving up a .587 OPS versus righties. He's facing 3 righties here tonight, and then he's giving up a .731 OPS versus lefties, and he's facing 4 lefties here tonight. On top of that, the Indians have only hit 12 of his last 61 pitches. That's a 197 batting average. He's $9,000 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,400 more on DraftKings. Projected at 24.4 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score closer to 30 fantasy points or more here. He has an ERA of 3.56. His record is 7-2 on the season, pitching an average of 95 pitches per game, averaging 34 fantasy points per game. He scored 31, 49, and 24 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jose Berrios here versus the Cleveland Indians. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I got a value play for you here. I like Jesus Aguilar with a 43% batting advantage over John Lester. Jesus Aguilar bats 9% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .853 OPS versus lefties. And John Lester, he throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 34% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .874 OPS versus righties. Now I like this pick because Jesus Aguilar is 5 for 13. That's a .385 batting average and a .967 OPS versus Lester. And he's only $2,400 FanDuel salary. He's $1,400 more on DraftKings. Projected at 13.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 3, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jesus Aguilar here versus John Lester. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. Here's another value play for you. I like Luis Arias with a 79% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, J.C. Majea. Luis Arias, he's batting 22% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .770 OPS versus righties. And J.C. Majea, he's pitching 57% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .944 OPS versus lefties. Now, Lewis is 0 for 1 versus Majaya, but he's only $2,400 FanDuel salary and $400 more on DraftKings. So I love that price on both sites. Projected at 9.5 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 8 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 19, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Luis Arias here versus CJ Majea.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I got a stud pick for you here, but I really like this one. I gave you a couple value plays so you could fit this guy in. I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with a 33% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Dean Kramer. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is batting 11% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .961 OPS versus righties. And Dean Kramer, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 23% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a .883 OPS versus righties. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is 1 for 3 with a 1.666 OPS versus Kramer, and that one hit was a home run. He's $4,300 FanDuel salary, $1,800 more on DraftKings, projected at 13.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 15 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 9, 10, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. I also like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 11 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here versus Dean Kramer. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Marcus Semien with a 17% batting advantage over that same pitcher, Dean Kramer. Marcus Semien is batting a .756 OPS versus righties, and we know Dean Kramer throws his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .883 OPS versus righties. Now Marcus Semien is 1 for 3, batting a .333 batting average and a 1.666 OPS versus Kramer, and that one hit was also for a home run. He's $3,400 FanDuel salary. He's $2,000 more on DraftKings, projected at 13.6 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 9, 0, and 0 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So we know Vegas thinks there's going to be 11 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So plenty of fantasy points to go around in this one. So I like Marcus Semien here versus Dean Kramer. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I got a couple picks for you here. I've been picking this guy an awful lot lately, but he's just in another good spot here tonight, so I'm going to give him to you again. I like Michael Brantley with a 68% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Jose Urena. Michael Brantley bats 29% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .978 OPS versus righties. And Jose Urena, he doesn't throw very well versus lefties, 39% worse than his pitch to righties, giving up a 1.046 OPS versus lefties. Now there's no at-bats versus Urena yet, and Michael Brantley is $3,700 FanDuel salary and only $500 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 10, 6, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games. I also like this pick because Vegas thinks there's going to be 9.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Michael Brantley here versus Jose Urena. Okay, now if you're looking to save a little bit of salary with a quality pick here, take a look at Kyle Tucker with a 65% batting advantage over that same low salary pitcher, Jose Urena. Kyle Tucker is batting 26% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .920 OPS versus righties, and Jose Urena, he's batting 39. He pitches 39% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a 1.046 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Urena yet, and Kyle Tucker is only $3,000 FanDuel salary. He's $900 more on DraftKings, projected at 10.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's been on fire, scoring 22, 34, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Kyle Tucker here versus Jose Urena.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.